What is going on? James from Act Audio, and this video is gonna blow your mind. We're gonna talk about wire and why quality wire is important and you absolutely get what you pay for. So there's two types of wire. There is OFC and CCA. OFC wire is oxygen-free copper. CCA is copper-clad aluminum. CCA is basically copper-coated aluminum wire, and then OFC is oxygen-free copper, as it says. Pretty easy. The big difference is CCA has high resistance, but ultimately what they both show is the high heat that is produced from CCA wire, and on average, your amplifiers will produce 20% less power with CCA wire over OFC wire. The second one is the gauge of the wire, which we'll talk about next. But we at our store, we will not install CCA wire, especially on motorcycles, due to the fact that it's high resistance, high heat, and it can cause problems. So this one here is a fuse holder that the fuse was screwed down, but there was a lot of heat going through it. And you can see the heat on the burning on the wire. Here's another one. This is definitely Scosche Walmart wire. And the other part that people don't realize, just because it's a brand name doesn't mean it's not. So Metra is a great example. They offer a lot of wire. They have their V series, V6, V8, V10, V12. And I believe, I could be wrong, it was the 8 or the 10, I think it's the 10, is where they switched to OFC wire. Below that, it's CCA. So it's the cheaper wire, the more expensive wire. A lot of people say you can use higher gauge CCA wire to replace OFC. Yeah, but you're still getting a lot of resistance, right? And at the end of the day, when the amplifier wants to produce power, if the equation is voltage times amperage equals wattage, never mind efficiency, right? That's another part, but let's keep it basic. Voltage times amperage equals wattage. So if the wattage is 500, and the voltage is 14, that number in the middle is gonna be consistent. But as this number drops, that amperage number has to increase. So when you run high resistance wire over time, like distance, that voltage number is gonna drop, which means the amperage number has to increase to keep that same wattage output. And it just increases heat, increases wattage going through, or amperage going through, reducing the efficiency of the amp, right? You're adding tons of wear and tear on your amp and your vehicle or motorcycle's electrical system. This is CCA. This is why we won't use it in our store personally. Some stores will, some won't. This is our opinion. We don't want liability. The next part of it is, right, so now, okay, I'm gonna use OFC wire. Okay, cool. Well, when you go shopping around, you'll see that there's different brands, right? And I had a sample of, oh wait, is this it? This is it, I'm a dummy. This is our Memphis, which is a pretty good average quality wire, right? If you're looking at most of the companies, I can go pull out my Kicker, my Memphis, Connex, what other big companies out there that are quality, and they're all gonna be about this, right? So this is your Scar 4 gauge. I'm gonna see if I can get this to see in the video. It's hard to see, but there's absolutely less wire in this Scar than there is in this one. Right? So just because it is, yeah, okay, this is OFC, this is 4 gauge, but it's cheaper, and it's cheaper for a reason. There's less wire in this 4 gauge. You wanna see an extreme example? I wanna strip this one open. Here's my 8 gauge, right? Memphis, again, Memphis 8 gauge. Let's look at this 8 gauge. This is cheap Boss Audio. Man, it's really hard to see, but it's a massive difference. I think you guys can see that. There you go. Look at that. These are both 8 gauge wires. I can show you. It says 8 gauge. 8 gauge. There you go. Right there. Eight gauge, right? So these are both 8 gauge wire. Here's the crazy part. This is my 12 gauge wire. 12 gauge, so it goes 0, 2, 4. There is a 6, but that's more OEM automotive grade generally. 8, 10, 12, 16 is really the general sizes for speaker and power. So this is my 12 gauge wire, right? There's two wires there, positive and negative, speaker wire, versus internet company's 8 gauge wire. Let's put my 8 gauge wire in there. I mean, look at that. So people come to my store, they're like, oh, your wire is expensive. You go buy my wire online, it's not any more expensive. You're getting what you pay for when you buy the wire. It's very important to have high quality wire on your motorcycle and your car. You think about it, this is electrical current going through it. You don't need this or this scenario in your vehicle. That's very dangerous. God forbid something else happens and catches on fire, or this is under the carpet, or something like that. You're gonna have much bigger problems. And we have had cars come back to us because we installed speakers, and there was one specific car, we installed speakers, we took pictures, we recommended the guy change his wiring and fix it and clean it up. About 6 weeks later, car burnt to the ground. Insurance company came to us, of course, because we worked on it, but we obviously had pictures of proof of what we did. We had nothing to do with what caused the fire. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about with this. I'm gonna separate this 12 gauge. I'm gonna strip a little bit of this internet 8 gauge, and I'm gonna strip my 8 gauge. Internet 8 gauge versus my 8 gauge. It's so hard to focus. Look at that. Come on. Now let's add in my 12 gauge. Apples for apples here. My 12 gauge is bigger than that internet 8 gauge. So there's two sides of the amp, right? Input, output. And a lot of people think that they need these monster wires for the output. And in some cases it is true, but most cases it's not. Your 12 gauge speaker wire is more than enough, unless you're in some serious competition subs. Why is that? Because the input is DC, right? DC is direct current. It is low voltage, high amperage, right? 12, 14 volts, high amperage, right? Some of the amplifiers we're using are pulling 100, 150 amps or more of power. Your average 1,000 watt amp would have about 120 amperage of protection fuses in it. So, 1,000 watts is 120, let's go with there. So 100, 150 amps of power, 12, 14 volts. Your output side is higher voltage, it's somewhere in the 20s. And it's lower amperage because they're trying to achieve the same number. When you do math, right, you have blank times blank equals 100. If this number is higher, this number is lower, and vice versa, right? So input is consistent, 12, 14 volts, let's say 14 for a running vehicle. Output is higher because it's AC and the voltage is higher. So because that voltage is higher, the amperage is lower. So the output side doesn't need as crazy thick wire as the input side. Yeah, I talked about a lot there, but I hope this helps. When you're doing your bikes and your cars, let's make sure you're putting quality wire. It makes a huge difference, especially to the performance of the amp. Never mind the liability, but the stress, right? So if that amp is pulling more amperage, say you need 20 amps, or let's say 100 amps of current to make the wattage output, but you put in CCA, so now you got to bump it up and you need 125. That's 25 extra amps consistently being pulled on your electrical system, where on motorcycles, the stator, that's pretty much what the stator is, if I remember correctly. I don't remember. And cars, 65 amps is a pretty good alternator. Trucks, 120. So they're designed to run the vehicle. That's it. They're not designed to add shit to. So putting a quality amp that runs more efficient, so you pull less power, and using quality wire with the proper thickness, right? Even if it is a quality OFC, so that you're not adding resistance, you're not increasing that amperage, and you're helping your vehicle run happier and healthier along with your amp, because now your amp's pulling less power and it's working, half as hard, increasing the longevity of everything. This wire from Scar Audio might save you $60 from my wire from Memphis Audio, but long term, added wear and tear on your amplifier and car is gonna cost you more than 60 bucks. So spend the money. I hope this helped. I hope it all made sense because I know there's a lot there. So any questions, hit me up below. Click like, subscribe, share with your friends, whatever it may be that'll help support me. Keep adding fuel for me to make more of these videos, to put out more content to help everybody make better choices on their motorcycles and cars. Thank you for watching. James from Act Audio. Have a fantastic day. Summer is here. Today I'm making this.